morning and thank you for tuning in today. You are watching The Dietitian on a Mission. My name is Janet Calderwood. I'm a registered dietitian and I'm happy to see you on this morning. Today I have a very special guest with me. I don't get to see her very often anymore, but Betsy Opit is a local dietitian here, and she is one of the best and brightest for Southwest Florida. She's on the set today, and we're going to talk about perfecting portion sizes because we know, right, that people aren't getting it. And you know, I just thank everybody that's tuning in today because this show is dedicated to helping you separate nutrition fact from fiction. And when it comes to portions, things have changed over the years, haven't they? And I thought that just for fun, we would do a little quiz. And so if you have a piece of paper or something, I want to encourage you to answer these questions. And then I thought we would talk about them and give you some guidance. How does that sound, Betsy?
Sounds like fun.
All right, so here we go. And by the way, I don't know if you've ever heard of Betsy's Best. It's what is it? Nut butter.
It's a gourmet nut and seed butter line.
Nut and seed butter line. She's a good friend of mine, and she started this a few years ago, and I've had it. It's delicious, and I know it's a little expensive, but it's really delicious, and it's premium products and things like that, but you're really getting out there with this nut butter.
We have grown in 2016 from 50 stores to 2,200 stores in 1 year, nationwide, 36 states.
So anyway, if you ever see any Betsy's Best products on the store, I know they're selling them at Kroger now.
We're in Whole Foods in Florida, Bristol Farms, Ingalls, Harris Teeter, soon possibly Wegmans.
Harris Teeter, wow. So this is her. This is Betsy, and she's a good friend of mine, so we're glad to have her with us today. She's just available. So we're going to talk about the bagel, okay? So a bagel, 20 years ago, it had 140 calories and it was 3 inches. Does anybody know today what that is? I mean, just curious. I'm going to give you, these are the answers. Wait a second. Let me just see. Sorry, I gave you the, so she's got the answers. All right, Betsy. So 20 years ago, a bagel was 3 inches and 140 calories. Does anybody know, like, if you go to the bagel store, how much does a bagel calories does it have now? What's the size of that?
I don't know. You gave me the wrong.
I gave you the wrong.
Are you starting with?
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Okay. There's the correct answer.
I can probably guess the correct answer.
All right. Let me have that one. Sorry about that. Okay. That was this.
So a bagel that is 6 inches, which is doubled in size, is now 350 calories. So you'd have to rake leaves for 50 minutes to burn 210 calories.
So see, in 20 years, I mean, it's double.
I always like to say portion control is out of control in America. Everything is supersized.
And why do you think that is?
You know what? I think it's more people are wanting value for their money and their food, and I think either the restaurant industry or the food manufacturing industry is just trying to please the people. And as their palate and their serving size increases, so does the waistline, and that's the downside of all of this.
It is the downside of all of this, and especially because, you know, it's funny because if you go to the store and you look at bagels, the mini bagels, like they have the mini bagels now, are more reflective of what the actual size of a portion of bagel should be. So, I mean, so if you're going to a store and you have, like, you're going to order a bagel, really the serving would be at least half of that.
Right.
So just share it.
Right, absolutely.
Right? So that's a good way to counteract the size change. All right. Number 2. A cheeseburger 20 years ago had 333 calories. How many calories do you think are in today's cheeseburger? Da-na-na-na. Okay, tell us.
It's 590 calories, just shy of 600.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's just a cheeseburger. That's not with all the stuff
Fries
on it,
and the soda
right? Like
or
the
anything
sauce
else.
and special sauce and all this stuff. All right, now if you had these extra calories, what's it going to take? Like, how much physical activity would one have to do to burn those additional calories?
You would actually have to lift weights in the gym for an hour and a half just to burn 257 calories. That's not even the full Cheeseburger.
That's only like half a cheeseburger you're
Right.
burning. But so, you know, when we think about portions and why it's really important, I think the take-home message is really about balancing what you're eating with your activity. So for people to understand
Right.
what it would take to burn this, they might think twice about having, you know, the cheeseburger or the modern day cheeseburger, shall we say, or the modern day bagel, and even things like soft drink, like a 6.5 ounce soda is what we used to drink as kids, I remember, the small ones, remember?
Right.
Now they had 85 calories 20 years ago.
And the 20 ounce, which is what we commonly see today in the big bottles with the twist top, 250 calories.
So they're getting like 3 times the amount of calories.
And probably like 30 spoonfuls of sugar in that as well.
Right, so that's a little more than we need, especially since the American Heart Association for women recommends 6 teaspoons, no more than 6 teaspoons a day of added sugars, and for men it's 9. So it does add up very, very quickly if someone is drinking soda. And all those empty calories, 240 calories, but there's not like a whole lot of vitamins and minerals in that.
They're non-productive calories is what I call them.
That's a pretty good way of saying it, but they're non-productive, except they're productive in putting on weight.
Correct.
Right? That's the only thing that it produces. So there's not, they're empty calories. There's not, there's a lot of sugar, but anyway, so, all right, soda. French fries 20 years ago, 210 calories. It was about a 2.5 ounce serving. Now,
they're about 7 ounces, which is around 610 calories. So if you're down in the cheeseburger and the fries, you're over 1,000 calories already.
And that's for one meal. Wow.
Right.
Okay. And then, you know, when you think about it, even like a serving of French fries is 12 or 13 fries.
Right.
So even if, you know, I'm not a big person to recommend these types of foods. Obviously, there's not a whole lot of nutritional value. They're very calorically dense. But when people can see where they can do better with these choices, it will help facilitate change, I believe, don't you?
It's really into the portion. You know, if they don't want to give up some of these food choices, if they just cut back on the portion, or maybe replace it with, you know, maybe you have a few French fries, but then you have a side salad along with it to help fill you up.
See, that's a great suggestion there. All right, now what about, okay, so spaghetti and meatballs, again, 20 years ago it was 500 calories. That was with 3 small meatballs. And today, is it 600, 800, or 1,025?
It's the whopping 1,025. Roughly 2 cups of pasta is what graces the American plate nowadays.
2 cups of pasta. And speaking of pasta, I do want to show, so a serving of pasta is really about, when we talk about 2 ounces, and it's about, if somebody had the dried pasta, which I have here, you could take a nickel and fit it on there, and that's about 2 ounces of cooked pasta. And what does that look like after it's cooked? So this is the uncooked pasta portion. And then a half a cup could be something that resembles like a light bulb. Okay, so I figure the more visuals that you have, the more understanding that you have, okay, what it really truly looks like, then it will help you when you're putting things on your plate to be more accurate in that portion.
Yeah. And you know, a tool that I often will give my clients when working with them, and these are great visuals, which I know will show the audience all of them, but I tell people, your hands go with you everywhere. Use your hands because they're in proportion to your body.
Yes.
So a female should eat about a 3 ounce, where a male might be more like a 4 or 5 ounce because they have a bigger palm, but the palm of your hand should be your protein.
Yes.
You know, a half a cup is roughly the size of a petite fist, you know, and then I would say your vegetables should be your 2 fists together because you double up on that. But your fat should be no bigger than the thumbprint in the center of the palm of your hand.
And those are great tools too, because like she said, hopefully you have 2 hands that you can use, and remember those because they do come in handy. And you know, especially when you're out in a restaurant with family and friends, that can be the real challenge.
Right.
Because we see that these portions are just getting larger and larger and larger. And we eat with our eyes, don't we?
We do, right?
I mean, if it's on the plate, Are you going to say, yeah, well, you know,
Right.
that's a little bigger than the light bulb. I don't know,
It's
but
the
it's
guilt
there.
of leaving food. We've been raised with that. You know, there's starving people in Ethiopia. You clean your plate, you don't waste. But yet I always say it's better in the waste than on the waste. So be
Yeah.
mindful of the portion and how much food it takes
Yeah,
to fill
and
you
the
up.
waste, or yeah, exactly. And the other thing is you can take it home. You don't have to eat it
Exactly.
all.
Or
You don't
share
have
it.
to waste it. Share it with a friend. Call one of your long lost friends you haven't seen for a while. I'm going to call her because I haven't seen her in a while. All right. So what about even like muffins, right? So a muffin, number 7, had 210 calories. Now is it 320, 400, or 500?
It's 500
Are you
for
kidding me?
5 ounce. That's 100 calories per ounce. So if it used to be a 2.5 to 3 ounce way back when, I mean, those were the little muffin cups that we often bake with at home. But when
Yeah.
you go out to where you see the muffins at the gas stations or maybe like a Panera Bread or restaurant, the muffins are enormous. They literally
Wow.
should be actually cut into almost quarters
Yeah,
or
you could-
thirds and
yeah.
shared.
Well, I think what you should do is for the office, bring one muffin and divide it in
Divide, right.
12 ways.
Everyone
Say,
gets their
we're
bite."
doing you a favor. But similar to, as we're talking about the mini bagels, they do serve like, they have mini muffins that you could purchase. I'm just saying, you know, if
Yeah.
you're looking for opportunities to save extra calories, and one mini muffin is certainly better than a ginormous muffin that has 500 calories. I mean, especially when you start your day with that.
Right.
And you're already off to a 500 calorie, you know, amount that's going to your entire caloric intake
Right.
for the day. So,
Right.
wow, that adds up quickly. And you don't think of it because you're like, well, it had blueberries in it. But that's really, I mean, whether there's blueberries or something healthy in it or not, I mean, it's all the other ingredients
Right.
that add
And the
up.
extra
Okay?
calories. Yeah.
Let's talk about pizza. Everybody loves pizza, right? So pizza is a food that 20 years ago, a couple decades ago, had 500 calories. Now what are we up to? Is it the 850, the 1,000, or the 1,200?
Well, 2 large slices will ring in around 850 calories. And what I think is interesting is that the slices of pizza are enormous. You know, remember back, like the pizza slices were real small, or even the
You
little
couldn't see
square
'em.
pieces.
Yeah.
Which is unfortunate because our children are growing up in a generation where
And
these
they're
portions,
seeing these
this is what
things.
they think is a single portion. Even the cookies, you know, used to be a 2.5-inch diameter. Now they're seeing these monster cookies and thinking that's one serving. So this is what's really unfortunate, is our whole youth does not have
Yeah,
this.
the perception
Right.
of what it is. And the thing about the pizza, you know, I would even argue, as we were saying, how 1,200 calories in 2 slices of pepperoni pizza, but that's just pepperoni pizza. Now,
Right.
if they add other toppings that are calorically dense, like sausage and extra cheese, right, which
right.
is a big thing for
Right.
those pizza lovers to do, and you know, then it could even be more than that.
Oh,
Or
sure.
what about the stuffed crust?
Oh yeah, deep dish. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And then they're
so-
dipping in the garlic butter.
Well, some people, you know what some people do with their pizza? They dip it in ranch dressing.
Right. Yes.
I
I've
mean,
seen that before.
So anyway, just so you know, just for the 2 pieces of pizza, you're looking at 1,200. You know, that would take about how many hours, like just to run or do something? I mean, we're talking a couple hours, maybe
yeah.
a few days actually. I mean, think about it with all the, it could add up very
Extras,
quickly.
yeah.
And so sometimes, you know, when you talk to people and you realize that just if they improved on one little thing, it could have all the difference, make all the difference in the world.
Cut back a little bit on those calories and increase a little on the activity, and they have the perfect balance for weight loss.
So that's, and they don't have to follow or call
Or do anything
1-800 Jenny Craig or anything
Right.
like that, right? It's simple.
It is.
And so it's those small choices that make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I want to do the last one. A box of popcorn, the box, had 270 calories 20 years ago. How many calories do you think are in today's tub of popcorn?
Tub. That's tub.
Tub is not a box. Would that be 520, 630, or 820?
It's 630, unless you get the extra butter, and then you're looking at the 820.
Well, and I mean, what are you going to have to eat with that tub
Or
of
drink
popcorn.
with
Or I
it,
mean, what are
yeah.
you gonna have to drink with it? I'm
Right.
sorry. Yeah, that's right. What are you gonna have to drink with that? So that will be
Right.
another, and it's not gonna be. It's gonna be the new
Right.
revolutionary size.
So you're looking at going to the movies and spending 1,000 calories worth of food, basically.
and then you're gonna go out to dinner,
right.
right?
Hopefully
I
not.
mean, hopefully not. But do you see how that can add up? And when you're in the movie, who's really paying attention to how much you're eating because you're doing one of
Right.
these things in the dark, eating the popcorn. But my goodness, that really puts a handle on things. But you go there and it says the best value.
Right.
Like you can get this free refills and all that. And that sounds tempting, but I always tell people, even with buy one, get one free sales, you're getting 2 calories for the price of one. You get
That's
fat
right.
twice as fast.
Right.
So
That's
just
true.
keep
Good
that in
point.
mind. If you start looking at it like that, not like, oh my gosh, I'm going to get all this extra popcorn for free, but you're going to be eating it too. You're not doing yourself or anybody else any favors.
What I like to say with those 2-for-1 type deals is you may be saving now, but you're paying later in your health. And it all
Right.
catches up.
It all catches up. Pay now or pay later. Everybody pays, right? Okay. So those are good things. Now, so you can see how serving sizes have, or the portion sizes have changed. And the portions are, again, what we put on our plate, correct?
Right.
So, I mean, what you may put on your plate could be something different than a lumberjack puts on his plate.
Correct.
So, what kind of strategies do you think that people should use to help limit these portions?
I think visuals are great, and hopefully some of the visuals we will go over will help clue people in. I always try to start number one with a smaller plate. Because when you have a bigger plate with
smaller plate.
There we
I have
go.
a 9-inch plate here.
Perfect. Yes, I think that helps just visually for the eye, because when you put smaller portions on a smaller plate, it looks like there's more food present than using one of your big plates and trying to put smaller portions on.
You know, it is really interesting because they did a study and they gave people different sized plates and sent them through a buffet. And believe it or not, because they have they have like these big platter plates. And people load their plates up. The bigger the plate, the more food they put on the plate. They eat like 41% more than on a smaller plate.
Right.
So, I mean, it does make a difference when people are serving themselves. So, smaller plates we have, and this would be good for dinner or lunch, right?
Right.
And and sometimes when people are out shopping, a lot of stores like Pier 1 and different stores like this, find the plates that most reflect the serving sizes that you want to provide. Because they have all different sizes of plates these days.
And same thing with the bowls. I look for the smaller, like cereal type bowls, not the really big, huge, deep ones. And even serving utensils, if you've not paid attention through the years, they've become larger because Americans are putting more food on
What do you think about that?
I love that, and that is a tip I give all of my clients. Use baby utensils, spoons and forks. Imagine eating an 8-ounce yogurt with a baby spoon, how long it would take you to finish.
Interesting.
Yeah,
so if things take you longer, well,
You'll eat
now,
less.
yeah, this will take you 3 days. But anyway, but smaller utensils too.
Right.
If you're eating, cereal with like a tablespoon, that could make a big difference. You can use a demi-tasse spoon or something like that. All right, and then, okay, so are you ready to use the visuals?
Let's rock and roll.
All right, so, and I found this. I didn't have this. I actually bought this. This is a shot glass. And when we think about something like this, I want, this is a good visual, but what do you think we should put in something like this?
I think that's a good portion for nuts.
Okay, so this is about 1 ounce serving, right? A shot glass is 1 ounce, and that's what a serving of nuts should look like. Now, that's nuts even, right?
Leveled
I
off,
mean,
right.
you don't fill it up until none fall out. It's an even cup there of nuts, and that's 1 ounce. But what would be helpful is even if people had things like this where they're measuring them out, 1 ounce of nuts, what does that look like? Put it in your hand, like Betsy said. Use your hand and get an idea what that looks like. I mean, it'd be a great game with your kids to say, okay, let's see who gets the closest to the portion
Right.
size. Don't you think
Oh,
that'd
yeah,
be fun?
absolutely.
I mean, you don't have to be a kid to do that. You could get together with the people in your neighborhood.
But that will surprise people when they measure nuts, because it's so tempting with nuts to do handful after handful. And I know when I work with clients and they'll be like, oh yeah,
Well,
do
I'm
3
eating
handful of
nuts.
nuts. I'm like, that's 600 calories. You know, an ounce of nuts is almost 200 calories. So it is a caloric dense, and it is something you should measure out until you become accustomed to knowing the right portion.
And we do know that nuts are healthy, right?
Right, they are.
They are
yeah.
healthy, but if you're eating, again, 3 serving sizes of nuts and getting the 600 calories, it's not going to be healthy when you start putting on all this extra weight.
Correct,
Right?
yeah.
All right. So we talked about the muffins,
Mm-hmm.
right? But this would also represent a half a cup serving size.
Right.
What could people use this as a guide?
Give it a
for?
half a cup of rice or pasta, a half a cup of cereal if you're measuring out, you know, maybe have a little bit more than that in your bowl. But fruit.
Or even like half a cup of potatoes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
So half a cup serving, this is what it looks like. And again, I mean, you know, if you're using fruit like a cooked fruit or something, it'd be half a cup. If it's a whole fruit like berries or whatever, it'd be like a cup.
Yeah, I use
Right?
the tennis ball in regards to
Yeah.
my fruit servings. And it's funny, you'll go to the grocery store and you'll see apples twice the size. I swear they're on steroids.
Yeah.
You know, our fruit should not be that large. Look, I always buy the apples in the bag because you'll
Right. Mm-hmm.
find the smaller ones. So think of a tennis ball, and that will help gauge what serving of fruit you should buy.
Okay, and so that can also be, and that's actually, when you think about even cereal, a cup, I mean, I know this is,
Use your fist.
yeah, you can use your fist, but you can get an idea at least, all right, well, I know what the volume looks like in terms of cereal, but it's hard. It's very deceiving when you have those deep bowls and you put the cereal in there
absolutely.
and there's still like 2/3 of the bowl left.
Fill it on
right?
up,
It's
right.
like, oh, that makes things a little bit difficult. Now, here's a blast from the past. Here is a cassette tape. Do you guys remember these?
My
Well,
daughter doesn't know what that is.
she doesn't know what this is.
I'm sure she
Well,
doesn't.
this is really, I mean, when we look at this is like a serving, a 1 ounce piece of bread. I know bread is bigger, but if it's a dense piece of bread, right? But that's kind of what we're talking about, and that's really not that big.
I love the bread example because back then a slice of bread was probably about 60 to 70 calories. I bet anything, if you go home and look at your bread bag now, it's
120.
about 120 calories.
it?
Double.
Yeah, and the thing is, some of those breads are very healthy, right? I mean, they're using whole grains, ancient grains, all these different things in them. But again, if you took one of those pieces and slice it in half, it
Right.
would almost be equivalent to that, wouldn't it?
Right.
Okay. All right. So we've got that. And then I think everybody knows the deck
Deck
of
of
cards
cards,
thing.
the 3-ounce portion. palm
3
of
ounce
your
portion,
hand.
like the palm of your hand for the protein, right?
Right.
And then I even brought one. We know that fish is usually a little bit thinner, and it could be the length of a checkbook, like that. You know, depending on the thickness, but usually fish is a lot thinner than regular thickness of meat. So that would be a good tool for that. And then I have this. This is, what do you think this is for?
Probably about a serving of fat.
This is about a tablespoon of some serving of fat, and that's not a lot, you know. Like, so if you're using, hopefully some of the, I mean, I don't want to say healthy margarine because margarine's not really healthy, and butter's not exactly
Olive
either.
oil, you know, if you're putting dressing
but a
on
small
it.
amount. Because remember, fats have twice the amount of calories as a
Right.
protein or a carbohydrate. You don't need a lot.
Right.
Be like a tablespoon of mayonnaise.
Right.
Something like that, okay? So that's very small. So if you ask for extra mayonnaise and things, you know, we're talking a tablespoon has 100 calories.
It does.
And it can
Yep.
add up really quick.
Absolutely.
So if you can see and use these visuals, I mean, I used to carry this stuff in my purse for a while. I had a poker chip. I had dice, things like this. People thought I had a gambling problem, but I really didn't. I said, no, I'm a dietitian. I'm really not gambling here in my free time. This is a Domino, and that's about, what, an ounce for
cheese.
For cheese, right? That's what an ounce of cheese looks like.
Isn't that eye-opening? And how many people who love cheese and can easily go one piece after they keep cutting off the block of cheese, it adds up. You know, an ounce of cheese is about 100 calories if it's a cheddar, and 8 to 10 grams of fat, depending on the type of cheese.
And then the thing is, they're using one of these for every cracker.
Right, right.
So, I mean, that's pretty significant. If you used like the dice, 4 little dice,
right,
and they're somewhere, I don't know where they are, but those dice have about 1.5 ounces of, it's equivalent to cheese. And then what else do I have here?
CD?
I've got the CD. So for people that love to eat pancakes, let me show you what a pancake diameter looks like. That is a 4-inch. Now, if you go to some of these pancake restaurants,
they're the size of the plate and they're stacked.
They're stacked, right?
And syrup all over.
So, I mean, you can see how if we're not paying attention to these things, we don't even know, and especially like our younger people, right, then it can get out of hand.
And a pancake that size is about 80 calories, so just
80
to put that in
times 3,
reference.
right, and then the syrup and the butter, right? So it really adds up quickly. When it's funny because when people do dine out, there's certainly some things that they can do a little bit better, right, by when they go out to a restaurant. They can look up the nutrition information online. A lot of the chain restaurants have that information available.
And I always say preview a menu before you go, so you kind of know what you're getting into, and you kind of have a thought process and plan ahead of time on maybe how you're going to split that portion in half, or maybe ask for half portions. Restaurants are doing that nowadays.
Half portions. And then it's funny because like Seasons 52 has introduced their mini desserts and things like this. And these are opportunities, again, diners are getting a little bit particular about where they want to spend their money, where they want to spend their calories, and they want the food to taste good, but they don't want to be excessive. And you can leave like Seasons 52 and have a good conscience knowing that, you know, most of their entrees don't exceed 500 calories, which is nice. So all of those things are helpful, but I think that, like you said, look at the menu ahead of time. I mean, there's healthydiningfinder.com. People can type that in and then put their zip code in, correct, and find some ideas for things. But the main thing is planning ahead. Would you agree?
Planning ahead, watching portions, and then I always give the tip, eat till you're about 80% full. Start to connect with that fullness signal that your body's giving you, and then learn to push away. I think that's the one thing, because we're so trained, there's food, we continue eating, but when you start to recognize the fullness, start to slow down, and then actually just stop.
Exactly. Put the fork down, and remember, if people don't start to eat when they're really hungry, they'll never experience that full sensation. And that's about all we have time for today. I want to thank you for tuning in today. Betsy, thank you for being here. Look forward to seeing you right here next week on CTN 10.